welcome to my 31 days of Halloween at my After Hours channel and podcast. And I am here today with somebody that I have known for quite some time, Christine Soltis, who has had just an amazing, very well-rounded career, and she's just still keeping on going and just coming up with some new stuff and just impressing us all. So now like I said, I've known you for quite some time, but for anybody who might not be familiar with you and your work just yet, how would you tell a little about yourself and what you do? How would you describe yourself?
Well, thank you so much for the kind words, first of all. Predominantly, my serious stuff is as a private investigator. That's completely unrelated to all of my artistic stuff, although sometimes they intermingle a little bit. Other than that, I've been an author since about 2002, so we're looking at 23 years. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of time to always release new books, but I do have 27 out right now. And then I started doing jewelry design, like natural stone jewelry and just other jewelry as of 2019. And I started becoming a shop owner as of last year and doing clothing. So I started doing clothing designs. So that's been what's been taking up all my time now, aside from the private investigator work. But I feel like I should promise to release some more books.
Yeah. I'm actually wearing one of your necklaces right now that I bought from you at the Mothman Festival. So
Oh, that's a good luck. You do a green adventure.
The good luck stone. I'm wearing it with my strawberry quartz that I got from another cool, from Modern Alchemy Creative, another cool dealer of stones and crystals, and I'm wearing yours too. So I got the strawberry quartz and the green adventuring going on. So yeah, awesome. So now, if you said you have 27 books out. That's crazy, but it's really awesome how you're able to channel so much creativity. But and I actually do have the one that I'm going to be reading and reviewing here in a bit. I just reviewed A Strange Decision. And I can't wait to read this because, sorry, my ring light's in the way, but this is really up my alley. And you said it's one of your lesser read books. So
yeah. And just to be appropriate on what I meant to say is I did write 27. I didn't release all 27, but most of them. There are a couple that are still sitting there that my very first one that I wrote, because I think when writers first start to write, they always write about people they know, and I try to avoid that. So in a lot of my stories, you'll see people, they're not even close to people that I know, especially the one that you have there. And yes, it is kind of underread, I would say. It is more young adult, so maybe that's. But it's a really fun story. It's about, and it has a lot of your different creatures in it. It has werewolves, I think there's werewolves, vampires in there. It might not be quite as much werewolves. Yeah, there is werewolves, but there's vampires. It's so funny how we forget our own books.
Forget our own work. I trust me. I hear you. So
yeah, when you've been writing for 23 years, you love all your books, but you just forget certain parts unless you brush up on it. But that one is about two teenage kids graduating from school, and there's a keeper of the Black Land. He is the person who divides the line between the mortals and the immortals, but he's not quite as objective as you would expect someone to be that's dividing both lines. So he realizes that about himself. He likes the creatures better, so he wants someone to replace him, and he makes these two compete. And they do have a terminal, so they will no longer be able to live in their world anyway. So it's really very vivid, the tests and trials that they do go through.
Yeah, and it's called Keeper of the Black Land, and I'm really looking forward to reading it and having it as one of my Christmas time book reviews and everything. So, and of all the books you've written, and I know sometimes this is like saying pick a favorite child, but which book would you say is your favorite, or do you feel that you relate to the most, or maybe that one that you would say you're more attached to than others?
That is so very difficult, but I do think Some of the ones because I really like that when you did your review of A Strange Decisions, you had mentioned that I like to try to capture someone or captivate them in the beginning
Mm-hmm.
and just pull them in. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what I feel like a lot of like ones like Reclusive 2038, that's a futuristic story.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of coming true. And there are some really cool like inventions and stuff in there, like to see what a reclusive life would look like if that's how we lived.
Okay.
So that's one of them. Final Moon is a very vivid, like, and scary book. So I
Okay.
feel like that's probably one of my more vivid ones is Final Moon.
Mm-hmm.
Spirit Blocker is semi-biographical
Okay.
and
Yeah.
spiritual concepts. So that one's a little bit close to my heart in the sense of being something that is partially true.
Mm-hmm.
So collecting and controlling karma, that's made to help people who feel like they might be stuck in a karmic cycle where they're
Yeah.
repeating this bad behavior and
Mm-hmm.
things like that. So those are some of my top 4, but I do love them all.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. And so, what is it about like the horror genre or the sci-fi genre? What is it about those genres that draw you so much, as opposed to say maybe like a romance genre or something like that?
It's funny because I did a lot more horror when I first started 23 years ago. I did a lot more horror back then. And that was predominantly what I watched on TV. Now, a lot of people know I haven't owned a TV for 8 years. So I don't even watch TV anymore. So I know I've missed every horror movie there possibly could be. So I don't have that influence anymore. And I think that part of the decline in horror that like I have not been writing horror for a long time. And people have asked me to contribute to things as well with the horror genre, but I think it was that I watched one of the American Horror Stories, the circus one, and kind of freaked me out a little bit.
Yeah.
so I was pregnant at that time too while I was watching that, so I don't know if that had on it, but I have kind of shied away from horror lately. I'm really always been into science fiction and like aliens and things like that, because any sign of like intelligent life, anything that needs discovered, that is always going to be something that's curious to me. A puzzle that needs that is something I feel like I'm always going to like. And I think one of the last shows that I watched on TV was Manifest. I don't know if you like Netflix, I think it was on.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I've not seen it though.
Yeah, I saw like the very first series, and like I was really drawn to that. I used to watch like Fringe, things like all your sci-fi shows, and I do a lot in the like the paranormal community. I do a lot of events and things like that. So that's always been like a super curiosity. I did leave out that I do panels too, and I started doing the panels again after 10 years.
Yeah. I went to the last one. What was it? The life on other planets and AI and Yeah, that was a very fascinating one. And like all the panelists, it's like, they all managed to, it's like they all were there, obviously, like they're coming from their own angle, their own background, and but they were all like, they all had like these like really cool and unique perspectives on, just on life forms on like other planets and everything. And I really enjoyed that one. And I know you have like a few more coming up, which we'll like talk about here in a little bit. But you've like kind of like, you're more of like a sci-fi girly than like a horror one right now at this point.
Yeah, and like I like a lot of metaphysical stuff too, like the things that we can't see or explain. So I think that I've gotten more of a draw towards things like that than things that frighten you, I guess you'd say. Figuring things out is more of my interest. I guess it's because I'm getting old. I don't know. It's with age.
So speaking of sci-fi and other life forms, you and I were just at the Mothman Festival, which was a lot of fun. And And if you happen to, because of course there have been Mothman sightings around that area through the years, but if you were out in Point Pleasant or anywhere in the world, because there's been other Mothman sightings in other parts of the world as well, but if you happen to run into the Mothman, what would you do?
Well, that's a good question because you know, with my actual work, my full-time job, I spend a lot of time throughout West Virginia, Ohio, Pennsylvania. So I am in some of the most rural areas there ever have been. So I kind of feel like if anyone's going to see him, it's going to be me because I'm driving around at night. There's mountains everywhere. Sometimes I get lost. Sometimes GPS goes out. So, but I think so a lot of people have commented that he may be a telepathic entity, something that communicates you through your brain, like one brain to another. So for me, I don't think I could say anything. So that might best bet is if he talks to me that way. I don't think I'm going to say anything. I think I would be like in a total state of shock. I might say holy S word or something of that nature. My eyes will probably pop open wide, but I don't think I know what to say. I really don't. Like I'm hoping kind of that he would just be like, "Oh, she's just surprised," and then he'd say, "It's okay, Christine." No, hoping he would be like I would be like, "Hello," you know, telepathically.
Yeah.
Didn't expect to see you here.
I know, right?
Like I was at work. And then I think I would ask him his purpose because he gets the title of being the harbinger of doom. Like some people think that he brings it. Some people think he just lets you know something's about to happen.
Right.
So I would ask him his purpose. I think if I had enough courage, I would ask him his purpose, and I would obviously want to know what his purpose was for finding me. You know. You want me to tell humanity that you exist? I will do it. You know, something of that nature. I will be your messenger of doom.
There you go. Yeah. Because cause see, based on what I've read of him, I tend to think he's more of like he's trying to warn you of say what's happening because of the whole thing with the Silver Bridge. You know, he was, there were people had their first sightings of him in that area, 1966, and then it was in 1967 when the bridge collapsed. So I wonder if he was trying to just all that time for about a year, trying to be like, hey, I foresee this happening. You might want to fix it. And of course, since he might look scary to people, people don't view it that way. They think, oh my gosh, big scary humanoid thing with wings is flying at me. They don't think, okay, they don't, think to be like, okay, what's your purpose? Why are you appearing to me? But
that's, I don't want to know that instantly. I just kind of want to know what do you need from me?
Yeah, because I know if I happen to run into him, because I do plan to make another trip up to Point Pleasant in probably the next month, just so I can take in more of the history and the lore than I was able to amidst all the excitement of the festival. If I ran into him, after my initial shock, I'd be I would just want to know, okay, what are you trying to tell me? Why are you appearing to me? What's your purpose here? What do you want? What do you want me to do? Like you said, tell the world that you exist, but
we already know you have a festival.
But yeah, definitely a fascinating piece of lore. And in all of your travels, have you ever had any weird or unexplained or any paranormal experiences? Because I know you've traveled for pleasure as well as for work and everything. So have you had any kind of weird experiences or paranormal or something where you're okay, did that just happen?
Had anything alien or Mothmanish occur? Nothing nature. And I always say that I'm if anyone's gonna see it, I think I cover more territory than anyone as far
Yeah.
as people driving back roads. I've seen bears across the street. Definitely deer. I saw a bear, deer, all kinds of wildlife, but not. But you know, this does go hand in hand with one thing that I've always wanted to be. Is I've never really wanted to see these things. Like, even though I like them, that's why spirit blocker. That's where spirit blocker got the term. Is that I never really wanted to see anything. So maybe it's my fault that I don't see anything in those adventures. And if you know, in the book Spirit Blocker, there are moments where I have seen things in like the backgrounds of photographs with me, but I didn't see them. And that's what the point of Spirit Blocker is too. In that book is that there may be things there, but you may not see them. Right. Know. For example, there was a ghostly image in a photograph behind me in Maine, Portland, Maine. Ooh. And that was a pleasure trip. That was just Salem around Halloween and stuff like that. And then there have been, every time I go to Ohio, almost every time, there's kind of like an angelic kind of figure that's behind me or in the photographs when other people take the pictures. So that's been really cool, seeing that angelic figure. I really like that.
Guardian angel of sorts. Yeah. That is so cool.
But you know, we've had with my daughter and I, we've had some weird experiences. I don't know, they're not during any sort of travels, but you know, sometimes they say when you have like a child, you know, they might be sensitive to things coming around. So I do my best to not see anything. That is how I am.
Yeah. Well, they do say. Yeah. Well, they do say that, like, you know, that children are often more sensitive than adults, and then it's like, as we grow up and become a little bit more, I guess, hardened to things, you know, we block ourselves off from all of that. But I don't know, I think, wouldn't it be cool if people just kind of gained back all of their senses and, you know, and were able to see, you know, just see what's beyond the, you know, what we consider the natural world, at least. And, you know, but who knows if it's even natural. But I know when I went to Gettysburg, you know, I definitely experienced stuff, and there's so many theories, like, you know, and I'm sure you've heard, like, you know, how the past, present, and future is all existing all simultaneously at the same time. Or, like, you know, in some of it, I think, especially in Gettysburg, I think some of it's also residual energy that, you know, is left over just because there was a lot of traumatic stuff that happened in Gettysburg, obviously. And then, you know, there's interdimensional beings and stuff that I think is also there too. So, so it is all just, it's so fascinating when you really look into it. So, like, is there like a creature or a theory that fascinates you the most, like more than any of the others?
Well, I should say that I've been to Gettysburg and didn't see anything. So what does that tell you? I might like block spirits because everybody sees something, and I did, and I was with family as well. And that was in the pre-child days too.
Okay.
Well, I've always had a fascination with UFOs and aliens because I've always I do have a little bit of a science background too. I never actually used my degree, but I do have a science degree, so I've always looked up to the stars and wondered what was up there. I've done like research on planets or moons like Titan, Saturn's moon. There's also like there's a diamond planet. Like I just like to look at and imagine what type of species might live on each type of planet or moon. So I've always had an interest in that. And then I like Mothman. I like the story of Mothman. I like the story of the telepathic entities like Indrid Cold. And I like the theories of time travelers. When I was growing up, I read Lightning by Dean Kunst, and that one kind of where he kept coming back to save her because things were happening in her timeline of events, and he was basically coming back through time to kind of save this lady. So I grew up on the time traveler stories.
Yeah.
That was my first, probably next to. Well, I can definitely thank my parents for all the influences of Aliens and Mothman as well. So
yeah,
with that as a kid.
mm-hmm. Yeah, and then there's like that kind of like rip in time effect where people encounter like a time traveler from like another time for like a split second, and then it's like it's gone, or some people have claimed to have actually gone back in time for like a split second, and then there's so many just really interesting and cool stories out there, and and it's like it's all very, like, I find it all very fascinating, but you have quite a bit coming up, so like, would you like to plug a few things that you have coming up?
Oh my gosh, I have so much coming up. We have so much that just passed too. Manifest last weekend. I am starting a little shop in Florida.
Yeah.
And it's going to be in Cooper City, Florida. Now it's supposed to open next weekend. Like we're supposed to like go to move our stuff in, and I'm gonna make more like ocean attire and like jewelry. I have like octopuses and seashells and like just everything beachy and pool like for that particular shop. I'm gonna do an experiment though, and I'm gonna put like some little spaceship shirts in and see if
nice.
That's a PA thing, I think. So I don't call Florida's how much they like our creatures. So I'm gonna try that. So I have that Florida shop in Cooper City coming up. It's supposed to be opening on the October 11th. If we move in next weekend, then it'll be open October 11th. And then I also have a talk about being a PI on October 9th. That's Thursday, October 9th at 6:30. There's only a 30-seat capacity where I'm going to talk about what it's like to do my job, my very serious job. And then on November 1st, that's when the big panel is, the big public panel. For this one's about alien abduction stories. So I'll go into telepathic entities, dimensions, time travelers, and things like that. And then I have a couple final events for the year after that panel's done. And then next year I already have a cryptid panel scheduled for April 18th, 2026.
Wow. Yeah, so you're already like, and I'm glad you're doing the panels again, because like those were always really enjoyable, and it's always cool to hear like different perspectives on things and different theories and all of that. And are you like writing anything new, or?
I forgot about that. I have a book. See, that's why I feel so bad for my writing, because I've just not been doing it as much with all the other stuff overwhelming me. So I have a book that I was supposed to release last year on ley lines and earth energy. And it's mostly done. I just have to finish up the last couple chapters. So I'll do that, and then I'll get that over to an editor. And I'm hoping to have that out by spring of next year, but it may be fall of next year, at least something in 2026. And then I do want to write a book about being a PI, and then I have some more of the like spiritual books to write too. Weird experiences.
Yeah, cool. And where can people find you?
My books are on Amazon, so that's pretty easy. I also have a main website that I'm about to update this weekend, solsticenightsky.com. And then I have Facebook pages that are public, and then I have Instagram pages, and that's under Solstice Night Sky Productions and Solstice Night Sky Designs.
Nice. Very, very cool. And what are your plans for Halloween? Last but not least.
I'm gonna take my sweet girl trick-or-treating, and then I have a panel the next day.
So then you gotta go get rest for the panel and everything. So
we have a couple parties to do mid-October, so it's gonna be crazy. up until November 1st, my schedule is like solidly
Yeah.
between work and fun.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's always nice and a pleasure to get to see you and talk to you and, you know, see what you've been up to. And I definitely plan to make it to one of the upcoming panels. And yeah, so thank you so much for joining me here on my 31 days of Halloween and the After Hours channel and podcast. And yeah, so any final words for the lovely people?
Yeah, I just want to thank you for having me on, and thank you for your support. I totally appreciate it.
Yeah, always. So, all right. Well, thank you everybody for listening, and we'll see you in the next video and podcast. And happy Halloween and stay spooky.